You know, I've been saying for the last 10 years that Antifa, BLM, all these left-wing organizations are complete frauds. And if you still don't believe me, well, just hear me out.
Calls for answers are growing in Madison, Wisconsin this morning, following a second night of emotional protests across the city. Hundreds gathering for a vigil in honor of Corey Ruiz, the 38-year-old man who was shot and killed Wednesday during a struggle with police officers. Investigators say Ruiz was armed with a knife that injured an officer who fired at point-blank range.
Now, they say the police say that the man was armed with a knife as if it were up for debate. And, of course, the activists are all throwing a fit about Madison police not having body cams. And don't get me wrong, I wish every police agency that I ever had to interact with were wearing body cams. But luckily, in our modern age, especially in an urban environment with lots of people around, we always get multiple angles. And we've got a much better angle. Did you see that at the end, the thing he threw out to the right? Here, let's see again. Oh, what's that? So there's clearly no question that this man was, in fact, armed with a knife, but it gets better.
A review of public records show Ruiz had at least 40 criminal convictions, including several for resisting or obstructing law enforcement.
This man had more criminal convictions than years he was alive. And you know what? I wonder if it bothers Black Americans that they're trying to pass off a Hispanic man as black to push their political agenda. But I'm not here to harp on how the left is trying to bamboozle Black Americans into rioting again by passing off a Hispanic man as a Black American killed by the police that was, I might add, carrying a knife and had 40 prior convictions. As I said, what I'm here to do is to expose how fraudulent the activists on the left are when it comes to all of their professed care for the Black community. And I'm going to do that by contrasting this event with what has happened over the last 4 days in Chicago. And just for temporal context, it is right now, as I'm recording, July 26th. So this would have been July 23rd into the 24th, and then another one today.
Yes, we're talking about 6 shootings in the span of just 7 hours. They happened really speckled throughout the city there. A total of 5 people were killed.
On top of those 5 people killed in these 6 shootings, 4 additional people were also shot, including a 13-year-old boy. And aside from the shootings, a person was also stabbed overnight. But let's get into these shootings. They happen across the city, north, west, and south sides, all seeing violence. 9 total people were shot overnight. That first shooting happening at 69th at Ellis and Hyde, at 59th and Ellis and Hyde Park. Police say a man and a woman in their mid-20s were found in a vehicle, shot in the head, both dying at the University of Chicago Hospital. Investigators recovered a gun there, though. That second shooting, just over an hour later at Hamlin Boulevard in Adams, a 49-year-old James Gooden was walking on the sidewalk, and a 13-year-old boy was in a parked vehicle when 2 people started shooting, according to Chicago police. That 13-year-old boy was shot in the foot. He was taken to an area hospital in good condition. 49-year-old Gooden, though, shot in the head and did not make it. He is the only victim identified overnight. 4 other people were also shot while sitting in parked vehicles overnight. Just after 11 p.m. on South Shore Drive, just south of 53rd Street, a 25-year-old man and woman were in a parked vehicle when police say a passing car started shooting. The man was shot in the stomach and died. That woman, though, is expected to recover. The last fatal shooting of the night also happened in a parked vehicle. Police say a 21-year-old was sitting in the car when someone walked up and started shooting in the Uptown neighborhood. The 21-year-old shot in the neck and died. I said 9 people shot overnight on a Thursday night even. So we also don't have a lot of information about what led up to these shootings from police. It sounds like people were just sitting in parked vehicles when passing cars or people walking up started shooting.
And then, as I said again today, after gunfire erupts at large gathering in Humboldt Park, Chicago. Gunfire erupted during a large gathering in Humboldt Park, leaving 6 people wounded Sunday morning, Chicago police said. The shooting took place at about 2:09 a.m. in the 900 block of North Central Park Avenue. This led to large police presence in the area, people who were placed on stretchers and then taken into ambulances. A 35-year-old man was shot multiple times and transported to Illinois Masonic Hospital, where he was listed in critical condition. But you didn't hear about none of that because it doesn't fit the agenda. No national news coverage for how many dead, how many wounded. But all across the mainstream legacy media, we're seeing stories about this career criminal armed with a knife being shot after injuring a police officer. We're seeing these activist organizations reactivate and start marching in the street, calling for police accountability because they used deadly force against a man who was himself using deadly force. Meanwhile, they're completely silent. You hear nothing about this poor couple of 25-year-olds killed in their car as they sat. You hear nothing about this 50-some-year-old man shot in the head. You hear nothing about the 13-year-old wounded in the foot. And you hear nothing about this Humboldt Park shooting. How many black lives affected just in the last 4 days in Chicago? But you don't see anyone marching in the streets of Chicago calling for accountability within their own community. You don't see the news going down and asking, what are the police going to do to try and stop these violent attacks and killings that are just like a rash across the city? Nope. You probably didn't hear anything about any of this unless you live in Chicago. Because the media and these organizations don't care about black lives. They will let black lives kill black lives all day, every day. They do not care. You could wipe yourselves out and they would not mind. They only care when they see an opportunity to push a political agenda. Wake up.